What's going on, Gorilla fan? It's Julian, it's Friday, and I figured we'd do something a little bit different today. We're actually going to do Schnitzel and Spatzele, which is a German food. It's a fried piece of pork in their version of a pasta. All right, so I'm going to show you the ingredients, and then we'll start working on what we're going to be doing for the next probably 45 minutes, maybe even close to an hour, because there's a couple things we got to do. So we've got our pork chop. What's going on, Tim? Doing Schnitzel and Spatzele. So our pork chop pounded flat. And how you guys do that, I'm pretty sure you guys know how to pound it flat. But this is an outstanding tool. It's a meat tenderizer. This is actually one of my granny's meat tenderizers. So I've got that. That's pretty old right there. And you just put it between two pieces of plastic. And as you're hitting, you're going away. So you don't create, big pockets of holes or just smash one piece to complete hell. And the thing we're going to be doing as far as breading goes, we're going to be doing a double bread. So you would start in our seasoned flour, and the seasoning in this is a tablespoon of each of garlic powder, onion powder, a little bit of dried mustard, a little bit of nutmeg, not quite a tablespoon of that, it's probably about 2 teaspoons of nutmeg, about a teaspoon of allspice, dried parsley, about a tablespoon of that, and then a teaspoon and a half of salt and fresh black pepper. And that's the same ingredients, and this is just breadcrumb. I don't ever buy seasoned breadcrumb because when I first started cooking, Emerald, told me not to when I would watch his shows. So that's just breadcrumb with the same seasoning. And this is our farm fresh egg wash. It's about 3-4 eggs and a little bit of water just to thin it out. So it's going to go flour, egg wash, breadcrumb. We'll season it with salt and pepper, the pork, before we throw it in the flour. But that's that. We're going to be making something that is called a ram gravy. Right? So this gravy that we're doing here is a beef-based gravy. And I've actually got on the back burner here, you guys can't see it, but you will in a second, in my Dutch oven back here, we've got some beef stock. Now, beef stock is very expensive to make, so I did buy this beef stock, but I fortified it with some fresh beef neck bones, some portobellos, and there's a couple onions, a couple carrots, some bay leaves, and a couple pieces of garlic in there. And you just let that reduce by half. Like I said, this is very expensive. We're also going to use this jus on, when you reduce it, beef broth, it's called a jus. You can also make chicken jus, fish jus, that type of stuff. It's just the reduction of a stock or a broth. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking that and we're going to be using that on Sunday as well as sometime next week. So I'm pretty sure I'll have some ribeye left over. I got a whole ribeye roast, and that's like I said, the ribeye section of that steak left in its whole primal cut form. And then when we're going to smoke it about 225, for about 3.5 hours. So it's going to be a real rare. And then we'll take that out, slice it, and if anybody else wants it, medium rare, medium well. Hopefully nobody comes over that wants it well done. And we'll just flash it in the oven until it's the temperature they like. And then we'll be using whatever leftover ribeye we have for a Italian beef. And one of those days that I do the Italian beef, I'm actually going to do a 2-part video because I'm going to show you guys how to make bread. All right, so we're going to start here in our sauce pot. We're going to make that gravy. So I got a preheated pot right here. I'm going to do about 3 tablespoons of flour. And you guys have seen this style of gravy before, with the roux. So, the mushrooms I used in that one are portobellos. They're on sale right now. And they're always really good. They have that real deep, earthy, meaty flavor. Right? Pairs really well with beef. So those are in there as well. Right? So get about 3 tablespoons of AP flour right here. And usually we would be doing blonde roux. We've done a lot of blonde roux the last couple weeks. So we haven't gotten to do a brown roux as of late. And the only difference, like I said, is the color. And that just means you cook it longer. Right? So we'll cook the cook this down, get all that clumps out of there. We're gonna let this almost caramelize. Right. Now, there is something you need to have in order to make Spatzele, and you need a Spatzele maker, or let me take that off the heat. It's essentially a one-sided cheese grater with a bucket on top, and you slide back and forth. It's a very runny dough, so it's gonna slide right through there, and you just move it back and forth. You can use a cheese grater. Cheese graters work fine. I got this little thing for about 16, 17 bucks on Amazon, so it's a great tool. And then we've got our water preheating back there. So dump it right in, and then you take it right out. We'll actually do the dough. You always want to salt your water whenever you're making pasta. So we'll do the dough after we do this, and then we'll take it out and let it sit in a little bit of cool water. I'm not going to do ice or anything like that. You know, usually you would do it if you want to shock it and hold it. That way it completely stops the cooking. But I feel like since we're going to use it pretty quickly, and I'm not making a bunch ahead of time, I think a little bit of cold water would be perfect. You know, if you guys want to break out that ice, you can. And how we're going to be picking that up is just a little bit of chicken stock and a little bit of butter. And then we'll obviously top it with some of that brown gravy that we are going to make. So I see some people in here. Yeah, I got a new tattoo on my arm, and then, you know, it's been 12 years since I've, well, no, almost 12 years. It's been 11 years since I've married my wife, and I also went and got her initial on there. I've got some sensitive skin, you know, so we went through like 4 or 5 different types of rings, all to the same avail. I just break out, you know, from the tungsten, the hypoallergenics, to I think there was a sterling silver, there was a gold one, a white gold one. So there's a few different ones that we tried, and I just couldn't, you know, my skin just wouldn't do it. It would rub it raw, and then I'd break out real bad. So got another turtle on my arm. You know, I only got 2 more to go. I got Leo and Donnie left. Pretty sure you guys have found out by now that I'm a huge Ninja Turtle fan. You know, generally make a reference to something Ninja Turtle at least in one of my videos each week. So, what's everybody cooking? What's going on, Hunter? I see Michelin in here. Denny, miss you. I see Connie and Garrett, Jamaica and Tim. So what's everybody cooking tonight? Like I said, it's a kind of a German night. I usually do fried chicken on Fridays because I just love fried chicken, but you know, I've wanted to do something. I wanted to do different dishes the last couple weeks, and it kind of sparked my interest in German, you know, some German dishes when I made that braised cabbage last week sometime. So right now, don't mind me, I'm just getting some of this beef broth that I'm making before it reduces down. I'm gonna use about 2 cups. So if we have to, we'll cut it with some water. So, like I said, you guys don't have to use store-bought beef broth. Like I said, beef broth is one of those things that's extremely expensive to make because there is so much, when you turn it into a jus, it's expensive. It's just very, very pricey. Takes a long time, especially in the kitchen, you know, so we have to, we'll thin that out. I'm gonna show you guys what we're looking for. You know, when you start making a brown roux, it almost starts to smell like a caramel or a popcorn type of smell. You know you're on the right stage. And it's all about temperature control. You know, if it gets too dark too quick, you gotta start over. You don't want it scorched, you don't want your gravy tasting like ass. So just be very mindful of that. Let me get this spoon out of here. So you can start to see that color. Let me actually put some on that spoon. I might actually throw just a little bit more flour in here to thicken it up. So that's the color you're looking for. So I'm gonna let it go just a little bit longer. Like I said, you always want to take it on, take it off if you have to, if you need to. You don't ever want to scorch it. If you scorch it, you might as well just start over. You wouldn't serve it to your mom. I wouldn't serve it to anybody. You know what I mean? So that's about the color I'm looking for. Sounds beautiful. So we get rid of the wooden spoon and we come back with this whisk. So what I like doing is I like putting this, I like starting on the front burner and then finishing on the back burner. I'm gonna just whisk this up. I'm not gonna season just yet. I'm gonna wait until the end because I don't want this to reduce any more than it needs to. And I don't want it to be overly salty. All right. So we're gonna pop our big old pot of water on here. I'll go ahead and show you what I'm working with. Now, I've made Spatzele a couple times in the restaurant, you know, so this is a new one I'm gonna mess with. Keeping in with my Southern roots and traditions, you know, usually it calls for oil or butter. We're gonna use some of that rendered down bacon fat, right? You know, it's already got a great flavor. You know, can't think of too many things that are better than bacon. And pasta. And like I said, I already make a bacon fat pasta that's outstanding. You know, not gloating or anything, just saying. Right? Like I said, it's going to be a little bit more of a wetter pasta than, you know, the standard pastas that I've showed you guys how to make. And this is just AP flour, 4 eggs, so about 2 cups of flour, about 4 tablespoons or so of our bacon grease, and about a teaspoon. I'm gonna get a little bit more wet because I want it to come out a little bit easier. So I don't need much, but I don't want it to be that thick. So just a splash of water if you need to. Right? You don't have to use milk, you can use water, but fat and pasta, fat and bread makes it very, very tender. And you don't want to overmix this because you make a very tough pasta. You know, it's going to be a little bit tough because we're going to be picking up in the fry pan. You can actually fry this too if you want. It's, you know, when I think about it, it's like almost their version of a gnocchi. That's the feel I get to it. So that's the consistency you're looking for. So let me just clean off my station real quick. We're going to look at our gravy. It's starting to thicken up pretty good. Now, if you guys have to, you know, if the gravy's not thick enough, once it's come to a boil, I like to reduce it to a simmer. And I just like to let it hang out and let it reduce a little bit. So always wait 10 to 15 minutes before you try to mess around with the consistency of a gravy, because it will thicken the longer it cooks. All those proteins start releasing from that starch and that flour, and then it will really start to thicken up your gravy. Right? So you really want to wait until it's heated up, at least a boiling point. Now, usually I would deep fry this to make it quicker, but I haven't showed you guys another technique. It's real big in the South. It's called shallow frying. I'm actually going to use my standard cast iron pan. I would break out my granny's deep frying pan, and that's what I would fry chicken. That's what she would fry chicken and pork chops, pretty much everything, you know. And that's called a shallow fry. You know, it's generally not submerged, and I'm just going to use pig fat. Manteca is what it's called in the Spanish community, and that's just rendered down pork fat. And that's what's already in the bottom of my pan. I like to season, you know, sometimes with canola, sometimes with vegetable. Most of the time I like to throw pig fat in there. When it cools, it has this texture and this consistency. So we're going to bring our water up to a rolling boil, and you want that thing bubbling and going and going and going. That's what you're looking for. If it's not hot enough, you know, your Spatzele, your pasta, it just won't cook properly. Right. And then most recipes call for a white pepper because, you know, it's a little bit less abrasive than a black pepper. However, I think this holds up very well to black pepper because we are doing, you know, a beef style gravy. So usually you'd want something to kind of counteract that earthiness, but I think it goes really well together. You know? But make it your own. If you want to use white pepper, use white pepper. Shit, if you want to use green pepper, use green pepper. Use pink pepper. 2020. Do you. Right. So we're going to bring this temperature, this gravy up. So like I said, I might do a video for on Sunday for Father's Day, like I'm doing that rib roast. So I don't know if I want to, you know, I really can't show you guys too much other than how I'm going to season it, how I'm going to throw it on the smoker, and pretty much how long it would be on for, because I'm doing the the au jus now, because you really want some time for it to reduce slow. You know, when you boil the hell out of something, trying to reduce it quickly, you generally waste more because there's more steam coming off, which is more evaporation from the liquid that's in there. You know, more heat coming off, and it just tends to scorch if you don't pay attention. So I feel that, you know, doing it nice and slow, you know, the day or two before works perfectly fine. That gravy's coming together real nice. And like I said, the pairing of beef and mushrooms are outstanding. So while we're waiting on this, let me scroll through, see if I got any. What's going on, Danna? Hope you had a safe flight back to California. You missed out on a really good dinner by going back a day early, but hey, 34 to cook. And the weather's starting to come in. We were doing fancy chicken nuggets. After shitting on me for eating fancy chicken nuggets, you're gonna sit here and eat boneless wings. Donald, what's going on if you're still watching? So if you guys got any questions, man, let me know. I like conversing, I like talking with everybody. You know, I like seeing what you guys are eating. I like seeing what you guys are gonna make or not make, or, you know, just talking in general. That's why I put those threads up there. You know, like what's, you know, that dish that brings you back to your childhood, or what's better, a cheesesteak or a cheeseburger. You know, I've liked a lot of the responses. I've liked, you know, toppings especially. You know, another big thing, because not everybody eats the same thing I eat. Not everybody eats the same thing you eat. So it's very nice to see different styles of cooking. You know, that's how I get inspired, by seeing what everybody else is doing, and how can I incorporate that into my kitchen? How can I incorporate that into, you know, my culinary experience? Or how can I take this and make it this, or, you know, adapt this to whatever region you're in, whatever nationality you are, because that's all cooking really is. You know, at the end of the day, a dumpling is the same thing as an empanada. We're just using different ingredients, but it's the same concept. You know? That's why I said I like interacting with everybody. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to say, hey man, we do it this way. I'll never judge anybody when it comes to food. You know, I don't really judge anybody regardless, but, you know, when it comes to food, you like what you like. You know, and there's so much stuff out there that, you know, you can't eat it all, you can't hear about it all, you can't read about it all, you can't watch it all. You know, so it's always nice to see what other people are eating, or how other people eat certain things. You know, this is a little bit more of a, you know, diverse looking countertop as of today, because we've got so much stuff going on, you know, but it'll be all right. Like I said, we're just waiting on this water to heat up, and then we can start rocking. So always check back on your gravy. Now, if your gravy's too loose after it's come up to a boil, you can do one of two methods. You can start another roux in a separate pan, and about a tablespoon of butter to a tablespoon of flour. Now, it's generally by weight is the ratio you're shooting for, but I think a tablespoon to a tablespoon is just fine. You can start that in a separate pan and cook that down again, or you can do a slurry, which is a cornstarch-based thickening agent. See a lot of it in Asian cuisine. You know, so you can do that, but I feel like if you've already started that flour roux, you know, if you've already went that roux, you should really keep it up that way. You know, texturally, it's for me, it's just a little off-putting. A little bit here and there isn't too bad when you have a decent amount of gravy, but with something like 2 cups to 2 cups, I really wouldn't do that. So I'd probably make another roux if I have to, but this is going to reduce down, it's going to thicken up, so we'll be all right. We're just waiting on this damn water, man, right? Miss cooking on gas. Got to go to one of my favorite restaurants today, though. Greek Village down at Lake Mary. So if you guys are in the Central Florida area, Seminole area, check out that area. Greek Village. Go in there and get a real nice gyro, some Nagasaki, which is this cheese they do. They throw it on a hot plate, throw it in the oven, melt it, and then it's on fire when it comes out. And they put it out with a little bit of lemon. Everybody screams Opa. Everybody throws some stuff. It's a good old time, man. Me and my wife have been going there since, before we were together, so 14 years, I think. 13, 14 years we've been going there. You know, it's a great local spot. Everybody's always super nice. You know, the head guy, the owner, you know, Evie, took it over from his parents, and him and his wife, Jessica, are actually expecting a boy, and they're supposed to have it on my birthday, so I'm really excited about that. Hopefully I get to share a birthday with them, you know. like I said, just good people. So if you're in the Central Florida area, check it out. It's called Greek Village in Lake Mary. The water's almost there. We're getting close, and as soon as we do some of this spatzele, we're gonna knock it out, pop it in some water, and then we'll start a schnitzel. So, don't mind me, I had to walk away and I had to get my little spider. Oh, it's not the animal spider, the bug. It's one of these things. Fantastic tool as well. Great to use, especially for pastas or anything that I got to get and scoop out quick. All right, gravy's looking good, so we won't need a thickening agent. So let it sit back here on simmer, but always make sure you're checking on it and stirring it if you need to, because if it sits too long, it will stick and burn. You don't want a burnt gravy. It's no bueno. All right, so let's see what we got. Gyros sound amazing, but tonight is meatloaf and rice pilaf. Man, I love a good meatloaf. Alexa, stop. Sorry about that, I had a timer set. I love meatloaf. I actually like taking the meatloaf the next day, because we always have quite a bit left over. You can't just make a pound of meatloaf. You got to make 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 pound, worth of meatloaf. So you let it sit in the fridge overnight. Cut it about bread thin, maybe a little bit thicker. Get a pan ripping hot, a little bit of butter, a little bit of oil, and fry it on both sides. A nice slice of American cheese, and on 2 pieces of Wonder Bread. Yes, Wonder Bread. You're gonna do that to your body, you might as well eat it on some good old Wonder Bread and make you feel like a kid again. You turn into a grilled cheese. Boom, 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 both sides. It's outstanding. Meatloaf sounds really good right now. Sanford makes an amazing meatloaf. I've never been there. I have to try it out. I go to Fatback's out here. I live out in Deltona, so I go to Fatback's. That's where I go for my meat markets. When I have the truck, I'm going to go exclusively through them. They're always fantastic. They always got great meat, always very helpful. But I have to check them out. Man, I like going to different spots and checking out what they got. And yes, I do with the stove. Too hot and humid. What's 34 to Fahrenheit? Down in the States, we never adapted that to Celsius. So, all right. So this is generally the worst part because the steam hurts. So the object is to move as quickly as possible. So we can take it and pop it over here. We'll fill this up. And we'll get some of these going. I probably should have grabbed a bigger spoon, but it'll be all right. You live and you learn. So in the restaurant, we didn't have these. We just used to have them cheese grater. So, and these are so good, I might actually have to make more of this when I've got people coming over. Got my mom coming over. She's getting ready to go with my son up to West Virginia to see some family members. He's got a little 2-week vacation from, having to do anything really. I mean, I'm pretty sure my mom will keep him busy. She usually does. But look how easy that the schnitzel was, right? So that's all it is. It's delicious. Usually when it starts floating, it's done. And I'm going to cook it a little bit more when we go to pick it up in a pan. So I'll let it hang out here, about 30 seconds. Stirring it so nothing clumps. Nothing's going to clump because it hit the oil or hit the water right away. Let's go ahead and stir this gravy. Gravy's looking real good. So, all right. So we'll go ahead and we'll take this spatzele out. Right. And this is very versatile. A lot like I said, a lot like any kind of pasta you can make. This is one of those things where you can add or subtract really anything. As long as you've got the right ratio between dry to liquid, you can really add anything you want. If you wanted to go super heavy on black pepper, you can make a black pepper spatzele. It's a very versatile. Just give it a shot, man. These are one of these things that, like I said, I love trying everybody else's food. It's a lot like music and TV shows. We're often so quick to judge or say yay or nay because something might look different than what we're used to. But then you try it, whether it be food, TV shows, music, you're like, holy shit, man, why did I fight this, so much? Why didn't I just go for it and try it? And like I said, I think that's our goal as chefs, home cooks, culinary professionals. Damn it, it got me. You know, to get out there and try, be adventurous, you know? You're only here for so long. Might as well make the most of it. All right, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you want to get as much of this out of there as possible, you know? So let's try to scrape that back and forth so we don't want to waste anything, you know? Especially nowadays, times are tough for a lot of people. And you don't want to waste anything. Plus, you spend all that time working on it, man. Why wouldn't you want to get everything you can out of it? Don't mind me, I'm just getting a paper towel. A little bit of that pasta got me. Let's clean off our workstation. We're pretty much almost there, at least with this portion. So, like, the worst part about making spatzele is the worst part about making bacon, right? You tend to eat it, right? So, I always try to make more bacon and, you know, spatzele pasta, because it's very hard to not just sit here and eat all of this, especially when you're the only one home right now, because the kid's at karate, he'll be in soon, you know? It's the hardest part is trying not to eat all of this. And you can actually buy this pre-made already, you know, but you guys saw how easy it was, how quick it was, you know, 20 minutes tops worth of putting all of this stuff together and cooking it, you know? So this liquid's gonna be hot, you know, but we're gonna use it anyways. So we might, you know, yeah, it's a little warm. So let's go ahead and strain it. Make sure this doesn't fall on you guys. Let me get my strainer real quick, a little colander. And we'll actually strain it off, and we'll put a little bit more cool water in there, so it helps shock it, and it helps keep it from, you know, overcooking and then turning into mush. You know, we don't want to spend all that time making it just to be, you know, ruined. Like I said, we're going to pick it up anyways in our pan. It's just going to be all right just to hang out, right? We'll try a piece. You know, scientific purposes, you got to try a piece. Tastes great. Let's go ahead and clear this off though. Worst part about cooking at home, doing all your own dishes. However, it's really fun to cook in front of people. Let me get my little towel. Especially since I'm not doing it in a restaurant setting right now. You know, so it's nice to cook in front of all you fine people. All right, so let's get most of this off here. We'll clean it up in a little bit anyways. So let's get a little wet paper towel. It's easier to clean it off as you go than vice waiting, because you get the itis as soon as you start eating most of this stuff, and then you're like, God damn, now I gotta cook and clean. Who signed me up for this? All right, so let's go. We'll start rocking. Look at our gravy. It's looking outstanding. So like I said, we're going to bring that heat up considerably for our nice shallow fry. We might add more fat. Now with a shallow fry, you don't want it fully submerged. You want it about submerged halfway. That's why it's called a shallow fry, but it's a deep fry. When the food is completely submerged, that's a deep fry. So we're looking for a shallow. But while we're waiting on this to heat up, we'll actually turn this down a little bit. I'll show you guys how we bread. All right. So let me rearrange some stuff so you guys can see. Let me actually move this so I can step it back. Make sure you guys can see. I'm gonna get rid of these comments, but I will bring them back. All right, so you guys can see, you know, the majority of what we're doing. So we're gonna take this pork. Right, like I said, pound it out pretty thin. We're just gonna hit it with a little salt and pepper. Both sides. Usually I would brine something like this, but I didn't want to make a brine for 20 minutes because this is so thin that it's gonna absorb that brine really quickly. So I figured just a little salt and pepper, it'll be all right. Plus there's so much flavor in this to this, plus that gravy, you know, it'll be all right. So you always want to try to work with one hand dry and one hand wet, and I'll show you what I mean, right? So this is obviously going to be my dry hand, right? So we'll take it and we're going to shake off most or any of that excess flour that might be on there, right? And the next step would be our wet, right? And this is just our egg wash. This is where your other hand comes into play. That way you don't have clumpy, if you guys are into comics, the Thing from the Fantastic Four. You won't have clumpy Thing fingers. And you use your dry hand again to get it in a seasoned breadcrumb. Yeah, it's gonna get a little wet because, like I said, you know, it's impossible to not get a little dampness from these. But I'm gonna show you something else I like to do as well. It might be called a double dredge or, you know, 2-time dredge, whatever you want to call it. We're actually gonna be doing this 3 times because I like that crunch of that breadcrumb on there, right? So we're actually gonna take it, using our wet hand again. We're gonna pop it back in to that egg wash, right? We're gonna get most of that egg off there. We're gonna throw it, get a handful in our dry hand, and one last time. Right. Like I said, just layering that in there. And then we'll shake off any excess. Now, our pan's preheated. It's already starting to smoke, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this pan off that heat. I don't want it to get so hot that as soon as I drop this in there, that the outside of this is cooked and the inside is still raw. And I'm gonna have to add just a little bit more oil in there as well. So we're gonna leave that in there. I'm gonna wash my hands. We're gonna add a little bit more of that fat. So like I said, you don't want it completely submerged, but you want it about halfway up when you add it. All right. So let's get a little bit more of our manteca, our rendered down pork fat. You can also use Crisco lard. You don't have to use this, but it's an outstanding flavor. So you might as well, like I said, do as much as possible to make everything you possibly can taste as good as you can. All right, so make sure that pan's not hot. Our gravy. I'll wait for that to come back up to temperature, and then we will fry this. We'll pick up our Spatzele, and we'll be done for the day, guys and girls. I just used that as a, you know, catch-all, so don't take offense to it. So you can start telling not exactly how hot it is, but it's hot by the rippling. You know, you probably can't see here, you know, but if you guys start cooking and it's starting to smoke as well, so we're gonna kill that heat just a little bit. Shake off that excess breadcrumb, and always, always, always lay away whenever you're frying. That's the sound you want to hear. Don't touch it. You want it to go about 2 minutes, 3 minutes on each side. All right, and depending on the heat, depending on, you know, how high it's rolling, it'll differ, right? We want to let it sit and get a nice sear on one side. We start moving it around, all that breading's going to come off, right? we're actually going to take our gravy off and we're going to let it sit. That way I can preheat my non-stick skillet back here. Make sure it's not heated. We can preheat that and make sure that our pan is ready to go as soon as this is, oh, it's looking beautiful. All right, so let's go ahead and adjust it though, just so it's getting a nice sear. Might turn down the heat just a little bit. These pans are outstanding for heat retention. Right? Great tool. Got our towel here so we can take it off and let it drain. You know, usually I would like having it on a rack, but look at that. Look how beautiful that looks. Right? Like I said, we're making schnitzel. So, and we're going to use a little dried parsley as far as our topper, just to give it a little bit of color, because there's going to be a lot of browns in here. You know, you could use fresh parsley, but I'm not going to buy fresh parsley just to have a couple pieces sprigged in there. You know, there's dried parsley already in here, so that green's going to pop anyways. So we'll be all right. Gravy's looking beautiful. Let's get a plate. So I'll show you guys how to put it together, but I'm not going to take a picture of it just yet. You know, usually when I take pictures of things, I like it being the plate I'm going to eat at because I take a little bit more time. I've already fed everybody. So we'll go ahead and adjust this. You know, I like getting everybody fed first, so I'm going to show you just how to plate it. My kid should be here in the next 5 minutes, so this will be his plate. It'll be cooled off enough for him to eat. You know, he won't come in here and try to karate kick the hell out of me because, you know, he's hungry, wants to eat now. So that's just a joke. Yep, so we're almost there. Gonna readjust. I like readjusting, so anything that wasn't touching, because you can see right here, and it's very hard unless I'm rolling this over with a rolling pin after I've pounded it out to get a nice flat even sear, because you know you do hit pieces and corners at a different, you know, pressure than you would somewhere else. You might hit this side a little bit harder than you hit this side, so you know nothing's ever going to be perfect, but you want to get it as close to as possible. So we might drop it on this side one more time, and we're going to take it out. We'll season it with a little salt, and that'll be it for the day. You can actually even take, you know, our weight I showed you guys the other day. Weight's a great thing to have. You know, this is the downside, in my opinion, on shallow cooking. Is, you know, with deep frying, you get a very even golden brown, but I think this is perfectly fine. It's pretty, you know. Let's see if that helps at all. You know, and if one side looks a little bit better, yeah, it did. One side looks a little bit better than the other. That just means that's your plate inside. Now always, 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 always season when it comes out of the oil. It's this most delicate time. It's got a little bit of that grease on it, so it's going to hold in well. When it starts absorbing into that skin, it starts, you know, coming off of that piece of meat, it's going to drag it into those pores. Right? So we'll go ahead and we'll take this very carefully and pop it back. Right? Let's go ahead and back of the hand works really well to see if it's hot enough. Right? You can also start by just taking butter, or actually, we're going to start with a little bit of that chicken stock. Not much, because we want it to come together. A nice spoonful of that spatzele. Then, once most of that liquid's gone back in, I take a little bit of our butter, our salt, and our pepper. Let that come together. Crank that heat just a little bit. It's not German. However, I think it goes quite well with it. Gives it a nice nutty flavor. Plus it'll help bind up a lot of that sauce in there. Put a little bit of shaved Parmesan cheese in here. Like I said, not traditionally, done, but I'm not a traditionalist. I might be German, I'm not sure. I know I got some Irish and some Scottish in me. That's about all I really know. Like I said, it's going to come together real well. It'll help, break up that earthiness of that gravy. It'll help really shine through and make it a little bit lighter. That's why I use chicken stock instead of beef stock. Right? This is a naturally heavy dish with the pork and the gravy and all that stuff, so really didn't want it being weighed down with the spatzele. Spatzel's supposed to be real nice and light. Take that. Take that nice crispy piece. It's German. Big, so it's going to take up that whole plate, and it wouldn't be done if we didn't use that gravy we had. I'll bring it over there in just a second. And that, ladies and gentlemen, Spatzele's underneath, but the star of the show is for real that schnitzel. And like I said, let's hit it with just a little bit of color. And this is a kid's plating, so don't sit here and say, oh man, it's messy, it's shitty. It's just fine. And a little dried parsley. And that's it. So, I'll show you guys umpteenth time. Sunday I might do a video, not sure yet. You guys saw the jus, you guys will see the finished product of the prime rib. However, it'll go from there after that. I gotta go turn off my smoker real quick. So I gotta bake it off. Come back in here real quick. So I might do one on Sunday, might not. Just gonna depend on what I think. Because I don't want to waste anybody's time. I don't want to waste my time. Don't want to waste you guys' time. You guys already spent enough time with me. I turn off these lights so it's not so bright. However, you guys will for sure get a video. And it's gonna be a little bit different on Monday. I'm gonna do a tamale video with my favorite comic book store, my only comic book store, Comic Central in Sanford. If you guys are into comic books in that Central Florida area, that Seminole Town area, go to Comic Central. They're fantastic. Sam will be joining me on Monday. So we might do a little bit earlier. It just depends on his schedule, my schedule, his schedule mainly because I don't work anymore. Just hang out here and cook food for you guys and cook food for me. But Monday, you guys will see a tamale video. I'm going to walk you through the entire process. Obviously, I'm white, red hair. Nothing is going to be traditional. Nothing is going to be, I'm not going to be, speaking Spanish or anything like that. So take it for what it is. But I will put my tamales against anybody's abuela's grandmother, in Spanish, their tamales. So keep that in mind. So you guys will see that process probably around noon sometime, maybe. Just depends on when he can come over. But you will be seeing tamales. It's a long process. It's, very meticulous and very monotonous, but they are fantastic. If you haven't had a tamale, shame on you. And that's pretty much all I've got rounded out. That and the Italian beef sandwich. I'll show you guys how to make bread. That is all I've really got rounded out for next week. I might throw up a poll and throw some dishes up there because Larry told me to do that. It's a good idea. I might throw up a poll for 3-4 dishes, and then I'll put in an other, and you guys can put in a comment if you guys don't like, some of the dishes I selected. But I encourage you guys to go vote for the polls, see what you guys want me to make. So stay tuned. I'm still going to be doing the interactive posts on almost every day. So please keep commenting, keep liking, keep sharing. And when I show you guys the photo of the real pretty plate of the schnitzel, please don't hesitate. And please feel free to share it with as many people as possible. Doesn't cost anything, doesn't hurt anybody, gets more traffic to the page, which I enjoy because I get to see new people and hear new thoughts and new ideas and new dishes. Thank you for spending all week with me these last couple days, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I appreciate it. Had fun. Hope you guys had fun. If you did, hit a heart, hit a smiley face, hit a like button. I don't care. It's 2020. Do you? But please come back on Monday at the latest. Thank you again, and bye-bye.